So let's actually get into some of what Nietzsche writes that presents some very interesting points of modern contemporary truth. So in this quote he writes, "Behind all the moral and political foregrounds to which such formulas point, a tremendous physiological process is taking place and gaining momentum. The Europeans are becoming more similar to each other. They become more and more detached from the conditions under which races originate that are tied to some climate or class." And this is the most important point here, is that they become increasingly independent of any determinate milieu that would like to inscribe itself as centuries in body and soul with the same demands. End quote. Now the last sentence is most important in my view in this quote because it represents the fundamental disgust that woke culture has for culture. Because wokeness is all about being independent of that which makes you independent, in a weird paradoxical way, of that which determines your character and gives you cultic value. Because what wokeness does is that it collectivizes diversity. This is how I see with what it does, basically, culturally. It collectivizes diversity, reduces the meaning of what the word diversity actually represents, and puts it all into a lovely big rainbow that symbolizes basically nothing. Because, as Nietzsche writes, people become increasingly independent of any determinate milieu that would like to inscribe itself as centuries in body and soul, to the point where cultic value will be and is reduced to simply being woke, to not be described for its unique, authentic independence, but to be reduced into a conformist language by mushing it all up into this big woke smoothie, if you will. That's kind of how I see it. But to reduce it into this conformist language that denies all these independent, authentic aspects of what that particular cultural value represents. That's what you get when you try to make diversity a safe space, or give its ultimate purpose and value as labelled safe space, that itself diffuses any of its pre-existed meaning into a bowl of a label and collective soup. It makes no sense whatsoever in my view. And in corporations, because this is such a meaningless thing, the corporations use this woke safety net of aesthetic of rainbow to gain this weird so-called appreciation from people by the masses, because it has come to the point whereby the rainbow that is used has been tried so desperately by an agenda to try and succeed in ideologically encapsulating everything that exists, which is to therefore make everything a potential trigger weapon of emotionality, so that it can be used, if you will, against you whenever it is desired, or whatever reason possible, which is always a possibility. It's like a resting division tactic that people have been deluded into desiring, but don't realize its true possibilities behind it or intentions. But again, this one sentence that Nietzsche talks about, that I'm referring to here, explains the confusion also embedded within our culture to begin with, which is postmodernism. Postmodernism is what exists when you are at the end or tail end of a cultural cycle, and the culture is therefore confused to where to go next, which is why wokeness is seen as the answer for so many people. So many people think it's the answer. If people are detached from their culture and therefore want to be independent of their culture, they're going to fall into a postmodern culture, which is ultimately confused. That's what woke is, a confused postmodern cultural smoothie. It gets diversity, puts it into a blender, mixes it all up, and you get this weird smoothie that tastes kind of disgusting because the flavors are all confused. You don't know what you're drinking here, but they seem to want to tell you everywhere that, oh, this smoothie is good for you. If you have this on a daily basis, it's really good, but it doesn't taste right. It tastes of strawberry, banana. You got a bit of fish in that. You don't know what the hell you're drinking, because the whole cultural malaise, the collective cultural coagulation that this woke thing is so confused in of itself that it doesn't know what it is.